right. Hi, welcome to Conquering the Battle Within. Powerful resources for first responders and healthcare professionals to stay connected through love, laughter, and leadership. I'm Shannon Vanderzwaag, a 27-year military veteran and a medic. And the reason I chose to do this summit, this very particular topic, was because in 2018 I was diagnosed with complex PTSD. And I had a lot of problems in relationships with my children, at work, and just really being present in my life. And so I found multiple resources that have helped me stay connected to and reconnect back with my family. And so I wanted to share those resources. And so today my special guest is Cassandra Love, and I am going to have to look down and read some of this. Cassandra Love helps women overcome trauma and feel confidence by setting them free from emotional weight and, you're going to say that word, cyclical patterns of their past through an in-depth 8 weeks transformational program called Turning Pain into Power, where you get to the roots of your core beliefs, fears, and limiting beliefs and start to release traumatic events holding these patterns in place through self-empowerment, reframing, boundaries, integration of new tools, and becoming a conscious creator of the universe. She is also an EFT. So tell us what EFT is.
It's emotional freedom technique, and a quick synopsis of it is you tap on your acupoints, kind of like acupuncture, but without the needles. So you use your fingers.
Use your fingers. So everybody has access to this. So this isn't something that you need anybody present, like a counselor. You don't have to pay to go anywhere to do this. Once you show us this, we have access to it. Is that correct?
Yes. And of course you would want to go see a practitioner for like the deeper stuff, but like for like basic day-to-day stuff to help with stress and anxiety, you can totally do it yourself.
Like this morning, I really needed it. Nothing was working this morning. I was having a meltdown. I had an interview at 9 and my camera wasn't working. I had bought professional Zoom. Anyways, it was crazy, let me tell you, Cassandra. So I'm really grateful that you're here and that you've taken this opportunity to join me and share with our audience. So we're going to go right into the questioning unless you have anything to add to your bio.
No, we can go into questions.
Right. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey with trauma and your healing?
Yeah, I was sexually molested from the time I was 5 to 8 years old by my sister's father. And it was pretty consistent, like whenever my mom was at work, because I was at home with him at this time. And then on top of that, it's just a lot of dysfunction in my family, a lot of emotional abuse, a lot of manipulation, gaslighting. I was never really given the affection I needed as a child, because I'm really sensitive being, just even before the trauma, because I'm an artist and I'm just very intuitive, so I'm very empathic and sensitive, and I needed a lot of love and affection, and I wasn't really getting that. I was getting more criticism or always being the scapegoat for things. And never really like encouraged or praised or anything. So I see that kind of led me down this path of looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
And then also getting into the pattern of kind of repeating like what my mom did, where I would end up in toxic, unhealthy relationships with men.
Yeah.
And so that's that part. How that also affected me was I ended up being like, I guess they call it having suicidal ideation. So I would hope I would die because I thought that might be better than the emotional pain. Or I would do things like hit myself or like scratch myself up because to me the physical pain felt better than the emotional pain that I was experiencing. And sometimes I would drink so much, praying something would happen. Don't even know how I would get home, but I got home safe. But I was hoping something would happen to just take me out. Obviously, I'm here for a reason.
Yes.
So
keep going.
Well, I guess I could just keep going into the next parts of like how this affected my life even more.
Okay.
All of that ended. I had like panic attacks. I was having, I guess, a lot of anxiety back then. I didn't even know what these things were. I just obviously was not feeling good at all in
How
life
old?
or in my body.
Yes. How old were you when you started having some of these where you were hitting yourself or experiencing some of the symptoms, so to speak, that we now know are symptoms of the abuse?
Yeah. So I remember in high school a lot of that kind of stuff came out. I would even punch myself literally and give myself a lump on my head. So I would say high school, and I remember a couple of times in fights at home, I'd pull out a knife and put it to my wrist, and my mom and my parents were cheerleading that on versus like kind of like edging that on versus like being more different. And I can't even blame them, right? Because they're dealing with their own patterns and dynamics from their upbringing.
Yeah.
But high school, I can definitely say these patterns were definitely showing up
Yes.
for sure.
Yes. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Was there something that seemed to trigger them, or was it would just happen? Was it just random?
That's a really good question. It kind of makes me have to take a time trip, huh? It was almost like, well, because it wasn't like I was in a loving family after experiencing trauma. I wasn't like in a loving, safe environment.
Right.
There was always a lot of turmoil on top of it. So I just feel like what would trigger it was not being respected,
Yes.
not mattering. So, like, my feelings didn't matter. What I had to say never mattered. Oh, you respect me because I'm the parent. Like,
Right.
forget how you feel. Forget what you're saying. Like, what you say and who you are doesn't matter. And so I feel like it would get triggered by my advocacy to stand up for myself. But then also almost not being allowed to stand up for myself or have my is that kind of weird like cooking pot of a situation.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. What brought you to creating this program to help women? Why did you decide to do this? What was the big turning point for you?
Gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so I was obviously spiraling out of control. And I remember way back in my 20s actually watching an infomercial, a couple infomercials. One of them was Tony Robbins.
Yes, I love him. Yes.
Oh my God. And then the other one was this lady who was selling some course on if you were like having anxiety or whatever. Back then, I didn't even know these terms or anything. I'm like, but that sounds like, because it also mentioned not taking pills. And I wasn't into the idea of taking pills. So the Tony Robbins thing got me to start reading his books. And then I ordered that course. The funny thing is, I never did the course, though. You know, you buy these things sometimes because you want the help, but then you don't actually use
Do the work. I've never been guilty of that. Many, many times. Yeah.
but it did start me on this like path of like, you know, looking for answers for myself, which also led me to Meisner technique acting class. And this acting class was so amazing because it's all about like repetition and being in the moment with like your person. And so it literally got me out of this like autopilot I was living in that I wasn't even aware that I was living in. And it brought me more to the present moment, which also got me in touch with like more of like my feelings. And that then led to me committing to my growth and just taking and doing anything I could get my hands on. So therapy, ayahuasca with shamans, Reiki, NLP, which is also known as neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, EMDR. I tried everything. And I finally came to this point with meditation, a very specific meditation that I go to school in San Rafael for.
Okay.
And then EFT tapping, honestly. It was these two things that really released me from this torture chamber I've been in since I was 5.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to get it back to the view I had it on. There we go. I got it back to that view.
Okay.
Awesome. So you said in high school was the boiling point. About how old were you when you decided, like, were you in your 20s? How old were you when you decided to start making these transitions? And what made you pick the therapies you picked to where you ended up here? Was it trial and error, or did something draw you to that?
Yeah, I know, right? So it just seemed like it was always guided by God or the universe.
Yeah.
So I just kind of followed those things because I got really committed to my healing process.
Yes.
And so I'd be like, well, I haven't tried that yet, so let me try that.
And for you, what did you feel that the only one that really got you to where you're at now was the EFT? Or
I
was
would no, I wouldn't say it was the only one, right? Because it's
right,
almost like you're hitting your head on a wall, like trying to have
right,
a breakthrough, and you're sitting with the same problem over and over and over again, and it's annoying, right?
right.
It's kind of annoying, but I feel like it did budge that freaking wall finally, and like open that up. Something
Okay.
about the EFT really broke it up, and it's not like the tapping you usually see on YouTube or anything.
Mhm.
Clinical EFT is a little different because it gets very, very specific, and you focus in on the specific events and the certain aspects of each event that's holding the trauma in place until you clear it out. So it's almost like taking a power washer to these things that are keeping you stuck
Yes.
and really cleaning it out so that it just like naturally releases and you naturally have a cognitive shift.
I like that. I have never heard of that. I didn't, and actually, until I talked to you, I didn't know there was a difference in tapping and clinical tapping. Like, I just knew of tapping, didn't know there was differences at all. So, what is different about your program than you would say? Because you have that question, and then you have what is clinical EFT tapping and how does it work and how has it helped you and others? So I don't know how you want to answer those.
Sure. So my program is different because obviously I'm pulling from my own life experiences
Right.
of struggling. So I'm like in the trenches with you and have been in the trenches. So like I can build those bridges of understanding to know exactly where someone's at in the journey. So there's that point of view. It's not like I just learned from a textbook and then
Right.
got a certification. It's like I am a product of my own work. So there's that aspect. And then also, I just pulled the best things from everything I've experienced and put them together into like an amazing program. And it is about really getting to the roots. And it's also not about just shoving all this positivity on top of you because that
Correct.
never works. It's
Right.
actually about allowing you to feel what you feel about whatever, say what you have to say about it, so your truth, without being like silenced, without being like judged. So it's a safe space to really express your truth,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And as you're allowed to do that, you're also reframing with the tapping and you're also releasing the chemicals out of the like bad chemicals out of like cortisol out of those experiences. And then because you're tapping too, it sends like serotonin into those. So it's like literally chemically changing and reshaping your brain and nervous system. So that's just cool science
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then also I added in all these other things like the boundaries because boundaries are so important with people in trauma because we weren't really allowed to have boundaries or they weren't honored or they were just ripped from us. So there's the boundary piece, there's the self-love piece, and not taught in a way that's like out there. It's like really getting them to start to have like a practice of self-love and what is self-love and holding them accountable to it because otherwise we'll just like get the thing and let it sit and collect dust under the bed or like actually walking them through the process. And also I'm doing it with them, so it's not like I'm telling them to do all this stuff because it works. I use this stuff every day. It really works.
Yes. So you brought up something. I got to go back to what you were saying. So you were saying, not the outside world self-love or the loving yourself. So what is your definition of loving yourself? What does that look like versus what the outside world preaches? I kind of know some of that, but I really want to hear your view.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, the way that the outside world always like throws that at you, right? Like, oh, you just need to love yourself. And you're like, well, what does that really mean, right? Like,
Right.
how do I do that?
Like I take a hot bath or,
That's not
I
really
go eat
self-love, right?
pizza, whatever it
Yeah.
is. Right.
So to me, especially through doing EFT tapping with people and myself, what I've come to realize self-love is it's more about really loving where you're at, no matter where you're at, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what you're thinking, no matter like flaws and all, everything. So sometimes you don't love yourself for feeling those things and you judge yourself. So that's why you do the tapping. So it helps you embrace it fully. Because the more you try to like push things away or bury them, they're going to come out sideways later, right? But the more you're able to just take them in and like hold them and be with them and feel them and fully express them, the more that they just naturally go away. So loving them is more about like embracing it and like owning it and allowing it to be there versus like trying to like push it away, bury it.
I love that. I love that because I think, because we're talking to first responders, paramedics, military personnel, and I think we're trained to do our job and at the same time face trauma. And then as we're trained to do our job and face trauma, we're not acknowledging it a lot of times. So we're pushing it away. And then we go and we do that day in and day out until it gets to a boiling point. And so I think that that's really good. I think this is a really good technique to introduce. Okay.
For sure. Yeah, because that will just like compact.
Right.
Till you like explode on somebody or somewhere.
Yes. Well, and then you said something about we're not taught healthy boundaries. So to set healthy boundaries and you're teaching them healthy boundaries. So what if I don't know what you mean by that? What if I've never been exposed to that? I'm somebody new to being like even admitting that I have trauma. So when your definition of you say you help them set boundaries and you hold them accountable, what are you speaking to?
Well, sometimes, so like with boundaries, it's tricky. I even struggle with this sometimes. So I'm still working on it even now. So like sometimes we feel bad for setting a boundary because maybe we set a boundary and the people don't like it. And then so because they don't like it or they don't want to respect it or honor it, they make us wrong for even having it. Right. So then we wonder, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just accept this, whatever it is? So it's not about that. It's about returning back to yourself and focusing on yourself. Like, does this feel good? Right. Do I need to tolerate this? Because I feel like when you've been through a lot of trauma, your tolerance level for stuff is higher.
Yes.
So you'll accept more mistreatment and disrespect. Sometimes you don't even realize something's abusive because it's so familiar and you're so used to it. And you're like, oh, well, that's just how life is because maybe you were raised like that. However, going through this, you'll start to like see more clearly, like, oh no, this is actually abuse. This is actually gaslighting. This is actually disrespectful and doesn't honor my values. And like, do I really need to tolerate this? No. What can I put in place to like make that, like put it like a strong line? And if somebody doesn't want to honor that line, owning that it's okay to like not have that person or thing in your life, like you have reminding too, you have choices.
Yes.
I feel a lot of times in my life too with trauma, I forgot I even had a choice.
Right. Right. I think that's very, very true and very, very relevant because I think our choices are taken from us, not necessarily even, especially as children of abuse, when were abused, that choice to participate in whatever the activity was, that choice was automatically taken. And then we learn as we go throughout life. I think sometimes we become people pleasers. And I think that's what you're speaking to with putting up the healthy boundaries. It's very hard because now I can't make you happy. But if I'm making you happy, then sometimes I'm disrespecting who I am as a person. And so that's that internal struggle of what is good and healthy. So,
or also the other realization I just recently had too is sometimes we will feel mean, like the abuser
yes.
maybe we had as a kid. Like, oh, now I'm being like them, and we don't want to be like them.
Right. That is so true. Very true. Okay, so now on to the next question. When it comes to this journey through trauma to healing, is there anything you would have hoped someone would have told you at the beginning of it that maybe others just beginning their journey could benefit from now? That was a big question.
That was a big question. Sorry.
That's okay.
There probably was a better way to word that one.
Okay, let me look at it real quick. So when you're on this journey, when you went on this journey, speaking from your viewpoint, when you are on this journey from trauma to healing, is there anything that you wish you would have known or somebody would have told you at the beginning that you maybe did not get until later on?
Yeah, I wish I would have even known what the heck I was going through for one. I didn't even know. Because, like, that just seemed like life, right? Like, you don't know there's, like, contrast. Like, oh, yeah, that's not healthy. If you're in the middle of it, you don't even know there's something else. But, so then, like, definitely seek out support.
Yes.
And the help you need. And commit to that. Yes. No matter what. Don't allow your, oh, I don't feel like it, or, oh, I'm feeling sick today. Don't let that control you not showing up for yourself. That's part of self-love, is showing up to do your inner work to heal. And sometimes our bodies will resist the change.
Yes.
Because it's scary. Because, like, I've had this thing so long. If I get rid of it, who am I going to be? Like, we get freaked out. So sometimes you got to just push through and show up to your inner work anyways, even if you don't feel good. And then once you're there, you'll actually feel better. And you're like, oh, wow, I was resisting this so hard, but this is actually what I needed. And a huge key to picking someone to work with is, I wish somebody would have told me this, is find someone you resonate with.
Yes.
And find someone you feel safe with.
Yes.
Because the truth is, nobody's going to heal you. You're going to heal you. They're just going to guide you. And the more safe you feel with that person, the more you'll open up to heal. So feeling safe is like the key, because you can honestly only heal as quickly as you feel safe.
Yes.
Like the most unsafe part of you feel safe. So you always want to look for someone that your nervous system feels calm with. You feel grounded and safe. Like you feel like, I can breathe with this person. I can surrender. And you can also be fully seen. Because if you're like not allowing yourself to be fully seen or heard, you're not really going to go to the depth that you need to really let go of those things in there.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so one of the things, so we'll do this one first. I missed this one. Where can people find you? Oh, no, we're going to do that one at the end. So we had agreed that we were going to go live and we were going to do tapping. So
yeah.
Are you ready to take me through tapping? And where do I need to be, not physically, but presently, like emotionally present?
We can just start where you're at. Because I'll just ask you some questions and we'll just kind of follow your intuition.
Okay.
You're guiding us really. But so first thing we'll do is we'll actually walk people through the tapping points so they know. So the first tapping point you always want to use is the karate chop. And this is what we use to do a setup statement. A setup statement always starts with like, even though, and in the middle, you'll put like your problem.
Okay.
And then at the end of a setup statement, you say a reframing statement of accepting yourself. So you'll say, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Okay.
And with a setup statement, you want to tap on your karate chop doing it 3 times
Okay.
before you move to the other tapping points. I'm just letting you guys know so you're kind of getting educated on it too. And then the next tapping point is the top of the head,
Okay.
as if you're a puppet and you have a string. The next tapping point is right here at the front of your eyebrows. So you can do one side or the other. Make sure you're hitting the hair. I like to hit them both at the same time.
Okay. So you're using what, 2 fingers if you hit them at the
Yeah,
same
and just hitting both sides of my eyebrows.
So does it matter if you do right or left?
No. It's
none of
whatever
it
feels
matters?
comfortable for you. Sometimes I just do one side.
Okay.
The next tapping point is side of your eye, right where that bone is.
Okay.
The next one is underneath where the bone is as well.
Okay. And how light are we tapping?
Yeah, you don't need to beat yourself up. You can be really light. You want to do about 7 taps in each spot before you move to the next one.
Okay, now we move down. Okay.
Yeah, to the chin. The next tapping point is like where your collarbone is, but where like that soft spot is.
Okay, right underneath it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then under your armpit, kind of like a monkey. Ooh, like where
Under
your
your
brow
armpit,
is.
under here.
You can do one side or the other.
I like the monkey thing.
Add a little humor to it, right?
Yes, you should.
I'm just gonna ask you some questions before we get started. So is there anything that's happened? Keep tapping though.
Oh, yes,
You
ma'am.
always want to keep tapping because it just helps release serotonin to your system.
Okay.
So, has anything upsetting happened today that you still have a little intensity around?
Yes. Nothing was working right this morning.
Nothing was working right this
Nothing
morning.
was working right this morning.
Okay, and then how did that make you feel?
I was very frustrated, almost to the point of crying.
And do you still feel that frustration in your body at all?
Let me think about that. I would say yes, probably. My back has been kind of hurting today, which is a little unusual for me.
Okay, cool. So you're feeling frustration in your back. If you were to give it a number, 0 to 10, 0 being not intense at all and a 10 being really intense, where on that scale would it be?
I'm about a 6. We're moving. Sorry.
Okay, cool. And so what is that? Does that like hurting in the back have a description at all or like a color?
Color. I would say red. That was my first thought. So something I was taught is first word, first thought. Red.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Don't doubt it. Okay, cool. So we're going to just start and do a round on this and see what happens. So right now it's a 6. So let's see what happens after a round. So you're going to tap where I tap and then say what I say. Kind of like monkey see, monkey do.
I used to be good at that. Let's see if I can do it now.
So even though everything was going crazy this morning,
everything was going crazy this morning.
Nothing was working.
Nothing was working.
And I still feel this frustration.
I do. I still feel this frustration.
And I feel it in my back.
And I feel it in my back.
And it's hurting.
And it is hurting.
It's this red hurting feeling in my back.
It is this red hurting feeling in my back.
And even though this is the case, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though everything was not working this morning. And it caused me to feel frustrated. And I'm still feeling this frustration in my back. It's this red color.
It is this red color.
And even though this is the case, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though nothing was working this morning. And it caused me to feel really frustrated. And I'm still feeling this frustration in my back. This red hurting frustration. And I deeply and completely love and accept
love and accept myself,
and the way that I feel right now.
and the way that I feel right now.
This frustration,
This frustration,
this red hurting frustration.
this red hurting frustration.
I'm feeling this frustration in my back.
I'm feeling this frustration in my back.
And I'm just acknowledging it.
I'm just acknowledging it.
This red hurting frustration.
This red hurting frustration.
I'm feeling this red hurting frustration in my back.
I'm feeling this red hurting frustration in my back.
And I'm just honoring it.
And I'm just honoring it.
This red hurting frustration.
This red hurting frustration.
Now take a deep breath. How would you say the intensity in your back feels now?
So it was like where your bra line is?
Uh-huh.
And I don't normally carry stress there, like sciatica hurts, but this is actually in like my bra line. And I would say that one side is better than the other. This side is almost non-existent, and I would put this one more at like a 3. So it's a little tight, but it's not like.
Oh, cool. So we'll do another round. So that's,
let's go.
Because we're a little backwards. So that's your right side? Sorry.
Yes, right here. So yes, right side.
I get it.
Hola! Okay.
Hi. Okay, so we'll go again. That's good. So it dropped from 6 to a 3. You can switch whatever I'll follow you. You want the other side?
Sure, let's do the other
side. A little even. Maybe it's on that side. That's why we get excited. Yeah. So even though I'm still feeling a little frustration.
I'm still feeling a little frustration.
From everything that happened this morning.
From everything that happened this morning.
And I'm carrying it in my back.
And I'm carrying it in my back.
Right now I feel it more on my right side.
Right now I feel it more on my right side.
Near my bra line.
Near my brow line.
And I deeply and completely. Love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
Even though. I'm still feeling a little intensity.
I'm still feeling a little frustration. I am still feeling a little frustration.
And it's in my back near my bra line.
And it's in my back near my bra line.
On the right side.
And I deeply and completely.
Love and accept myself. Even though. I'm still feeling a little intensity. Near my bra line of my back. This frustration is in my back a little still.
There's frustration in my back a little still.
And I deeply and completely. Love and accept myself. The right side of my back. I'm still feeling this intensity in the right side of my back. This frustration in my back. I'm just acknowledging it.
I'm
just giving it a voice. This frustration in my back. The right side of my back. This right side of my back.
This one's harder.
Take a deep breath. How does that feel?
Better.
You look all relaxed.
I'm kind of a cheater. My counselors used this with me before, and I was thinking this morning when I was getting frustrated, I was like, I should do tapping right now.
That's okay.
Because I got really anxious. I got really, nothing's going to work, and I'm not going to be able, and I have the most interviews today of any day that I've been doing these interviews. So today I had 4 and you live, and it's like, so it all works out.
You could even tap on, I don't think this is even going to work. Because then if you do a round on, I don't even think this tapping is going to work. It actually opens it up to work.
Okay.
So you can actually tap on that.
Okay. Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're frustrated or anxious, you could tap on that. And so what would I pick to tap on? Let's say that I was having either a meltdown at work. Let's start with there. So we're talking to paramedics and healthcare professionals. Let's say that there is multiple patients. We're in the hospital, and I'm in the ICU, and I have multiple patients, and we're short staffed, which is kind of what's happening right now. So I've heard. So would I have time to?
So wait, let me write this down. So short-staffed, overwhelmed.
I'm overwhelmed. I have multiple patients. I'm supposed to be working, but there's just so much that I'm just feeling very anxious that I'm not going to be able to do my job.
Would you say that the anxious that they're feeling is in their chest?
We can do that for hypothetical.
Okay, because they want to locate a spot, right?
Yes. So we can hypothetical.
So they're probably like a 10.
Okay, we'll say that they're 10. Got it.
So even though I'm really overwhelmed right now, we are so understaffed. And I'm feeling so much anxiety in my chest and my body.
I'm feeling so much anxiety in my chest and my body.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling a lot of overwhelm right now. Because we are so short-staffed. And I'm feeling anxious.
And
it's hurting in my chest.
Hard to breathe. And it's hard to breathe.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though we are totally short-staffed. And I'm feeling so overwhelmed. And I'm feeling all this anxiety. In my chest and in my body. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And the way that I feel right now. All this anxiety. I'm feeling all this anxiety. And I'm feeling it in my chest. And I'm feeling it in my body. I feel so overwhelmed right now. And I still have to do my job.
And I still have to work.
I still gotta work and I feel all this anxiety. And I'm just acknowledging it. I'm gonna go straight to another round. All this anxiety, because if they're a 10, it's really high.
Okay.
I'm feeling all this anxiety right now.
Okay.
I'm feeling overwhelmed because I still have to do my job.
I'm feeling
all this anxiety in my body and in my chest. And I'm just acknowledging it. All this anxiety and overwhelm. It's hard to do my job right now. And I'm just acknowledging that.
And I'm acknowledging that.
And then take a deep breath. I'm feeling high.
Oh, you're silly. And so how long would you say that takes? How long do you think we spent doing that? 3 to 5 minutes?
Yeah, that was like 3 minutes. They could probably, if they're having a 10, they might have to do one more round.
Okay, good to know.
But yeah, they could do it like 5-10 minutes for sure. So they can go take a pee break really fast, come back all like
refreshed and feel better. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I had another question for you and I just drew a blank. What if I couldn't make time to do this? What would you suggest? What if just 3 minutes was just absolutely too much for me to do this? Or I just really couldn't take a potty break, because we're famous for that as medics, to not stop and take care of ourselves.
Would they be able to at least close their eyes for a minute and do a quick little exercise?
We are going to say yes.
Okay, cool. So I would literally close my eyes.
Okay.
And I would see a grounding cord going from the center of my stomach all the way to the center of the earth. And I would imagine roots growing around the center of the earth.
Yes.
Then I would stick myself in a bubble of protection. And I would make that bubble even bigger. And then the first color symbol that comes to mind, I would stick that color symbol in the right upper hand corner of my bubble. And then anything that isn't mine, I would let it show up now. And I literally imagine a vacuum cleaner sucking out all the particles or anything that showed up right then. And then I would also see any cords coming into my space and pull those out and hand those over to the universe, God, creator, whatever you want to call, higher source, so that whatever those things are getting their energies from someone else or something else. And then I would just see this really bright golden light coming down and showering over. And anything else that isn't mine, I would see that going to the center of the earth to be transmuted. I think that took a minute, yeah?
Yeah.
You can do that even in 30 seconds, because as you get better at that, then
yes.
And then you just feel clearer. And because really everything's energy and it likes to attach itself to you. And I'm pretty sure in that kind of environment, there's a lot of things trying to cling on.
Yes.
So that would be a quick way to just energetically clear your aura.
Okay.
And your field, so you could be more present and less out of effect.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I have a lot of tools besides the EFT that I teach people.
Yes. But I know that one from my energy work of putting myself in a bubble. I actually put myself in a snow globe. That's one of them.
Oh, that's cute.
I feel like I'm feeling vulnerable. I put myself in a snow globe. And in that snow globe, I imagine what's there. So it's a safe space for me. So my snow globe, which is crazy, has water in it, a stream or something water, beach, something. And then once I'm in that snow globe, I choose who can join me or who can't join me. It's very much the same concept. And then I can stay in that. So like for me, sometimes, let's say I've just done some really hard work on processing trauma. A lot of times, like you, I'm very intuitive and very sensitive. So I see that I need to find a safe place for me, but that safe place I may not be able to go directly home, right? Yeah. So then I need to put myself in that snow globe, because then I'm sensing all of the other energies around me, and then I'm feeling very much overwhelmed. And so it's just a way that I can go and do what I need to do after therapy, and then move on through the rest of the day. So something very similar, and I don't know what it's called, but I learned that early on when I first started this journey. I would put myself in a snow globe.
Yeah, anyone who's sensitive really needs to do that every day. It's almost like putting on your clothes.
Yeah.
Your bubble of protection.
That makes sense. All right, where can people find you or find out more about your work?
They can find me on Facebook as Cassandra Love Lambert. Cassandra is my first name, or they can find me on Instagram. C_love_ all these _ Lambert. Or they could just go to www.healwithc-love.com. And in that website, you can schedule a complimentary 15-minute discovery session where you'll get some value, and then we can just explore if we're a match, if we're not a match. Either way, you'll leave with value for your journey.
Okay. And so what you just spoke of, is that your free gift, or do you have a free gift to offer them? Because when they go to the free gift, they actually get a link directly to you. So that's the blessing. So perfect.
So the free gift is actually leads them to a recording of an EFT tool for anxiety and stress. So then they can have that tool handy whenever. And then from there, they can also do the 15-minute complimentary session. So I guess they get 2 gifts.
Okay. Are you open to taking questions if anybody wants to ask them?
Yeah.
Do you have a few minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I can't see the time on this new. I had to upgrade to do these lives, and so I don't know what I'm doing here. So if anybody has,
you're doing a great job for not knowing what you're doing.
I'm on this fast roller coaster of learning. So does anybody have or would like to ask any questions of Cassandra? Maybe not. Maybe not. So this is my first time doing this, so it'd be nice, but it's okay.
It could be working or driving and listening in too.
That's true. Very true. Very true. So any last words or anything that you would like to add before we end?
It looks like somebody's going to ask a question.
I saw that. I want to call them out, but they just popped in. Yes.
Oh, what if you do not like to
Oh,
touch? What does that say?
what
Touch
a
your face. Oh,
good one.
that is a
Good
good question.
question.
So this is a little more advanced. You can imagine touching your face. So you can like literally visualize yourself tapping your point. A little bit more advanced, but the body doesn't know the difference between real or imagined. So if you can visually imagine yourself tapping your face, you can do it that way.
Did that answer your question? She said, okay, thanks.
Yeah. You could also do, especially like with, oh yeah, that's so true. I didn't even think about that. Thank you. Yeah, you
I
don't want
love
to
it. I didn't think of that either. Great
you
call.
like her
Thank
over,
you.
right? Good point. Yeah, so imagine tapping those points. Just as powerful, for sure.
Okay.
That was a good one.
That was a really good one. All right. Anybody else have any questions? And then let me close that down. I don't know how this is going to look on the recording. I don't know if my poor VA is going to have to like take all this out. All right.
I don't think it shows like chats. It just shows like the squares though.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, if there's no more questions, I want to thank you. I can't see me. This box won't leave me.
Oh no, I see you.
There we go. That's so funny. I said you got to heal yourself through love, laughter, and leadership. I think laughing is like my favorite medicine. But I want to say goodbye. I want to thank all of you. Oh, okay. Somebody said, "Great job, ladies. Thank you, thank you." I want to say thank you for coming to the live. This is my first time doing this, so I truly appreciate that you took time out of your busy schedule to come here. And if you have further questions of Cassandra Love, we will have her links. It's best to opt into her gift, and then that'll take you to where you need to go. And then if you decide you're not a good fit, you can always opt out of that at another time. And so I want to thank you for coming in, Cassandra, for doing this with me, and for how much humor and just your heart, it just flows. I absolutely love it. And the laughter you brought today, I really, truly appreciate that. And I feel much better than I did when we started this call. And a sigh of relief. I am done doing these recordings today. Now I just have to figure out how to upload this. So I'll call you in a few minutes when I'm anxious to try to make this work.
Yeah, no problem. I'm here for you. And you did a great job too. This was fun.
A lot of fun. Well, it was nice collaborating with you. Goodbye to, am I okay to say your names? Maybe I shouldn't. So goodbye to the audience. Thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate your participation, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Please come back and join us. There has been 2 recordings almost every single day this weekend. We're going to have just 1 recording either Saturday or Sunday, and so it won't be as long. And these recordings are available for 48 hours for you to watch. And then at the very end, if you missed one, we're going to do a replay period. So I would love for you to come back and enjoy the different opportunities to learn and really focus in on what resonates well with you, and then what you can use in your different situations. Anything you would like to add?
Thank you for having me. And yes, thank you everyone for joining in. I would just say, as the last thing, is trust yourself.
Yes. Yeah, that's really hard to do sometimes when we experience trauma. So I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Love that. Well, thank you all.